So if you opened a restaurant, Susan,
Yes.
what could be the signature dish in that restaurant?
Broccoli. Everyone who knows me knows that everything I eat, like every day.
Oh, wow.
In fact, when my ex-boyfriend met my ex-husband, the ex-boyfriend asked my ex-husband if indeed I ate broccoli every day years ago.
No way.
And they had a whole discussion about the fact that I have an obsession with broccoli.
Hey there, and welcome to Impact After Hours, where changemakers sign off from work and log into life. I'm Camille Lorente, CEO and co-founder of Human Group Media. Today, I'm excited to find out what Susan McPherson, founder and CEO of McPherson Strategies, is really like off-duty. McPherson Strategies is a BCorp-certified, women-led boutique strategy and communications firm. For more than a decade, Susan and her team have worked with innovative social enterprises, leading nonprofits, and Fortune 500 companies. One example of their many projects includes helping Nike with Made to Play, their program that gets kids, especially girls, moving. Susan is also the author of The Lost Art of Connecting and the recipient of Forbes magazine's 50 Over 50 Impact Award in 2021. Believe me when I say that Susan is the epitome of a serial connector, which we'll get into in today's conversation. She is a true champion of our work here at Human Group Media, and to those who know her personally, Susan radiates warmth and hope, especially during times we need it most. Thank you, Susan, and welcome to Impact After Hours.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. That was so lovely. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, I did not
sweet.
expect that.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Susan, for saying yes. I do have to say this on record that when I asked Susan in under 2 minutes, I asked Susan if she could come on Impact After Hours, I got a reply so quick. It, made me feel very special because Susan got so excited to have this conversation with me. So Susan, a million thanks to you. But on the topic of you being the, top connector in the game, I think it's time to change 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon to 3 degrees of Susan McPherson. Everyone knows you. Everyone I know knows you or knows, or, someone you know. It's just, what do you think?
I don't know how to respond to that. I think it's just because I'm 60. And as you get older, you collect people, just like you collect wrinkles and all the other things. But I also just want to address the fact that I got back to you so quickly because you are special, Camille.
Aww.
Okay? I can't obviously respond to emails that fast all the time, but your email popped because you are special. Okay? Just remember that.
Oh no, okay, this is going to be a love fest, everybody.
All right, we got it out of the way.
Yes, let's get it out of the way. But on the topic of you being this person, this spirit voice that brings people together, you just know how to bring the right people in the room. I've been in those rooms. You've invited me, and I've met really wonderful human beings who are working in this field in social impact. So I'm very curious to know if you taught yourself how to be a connector, or if you learned that from somebody.
Yeah. I am grateful to both my late parents. They were very much serial connectors long before the internet, long before we had the kind of technology we have at our fingertips. My father was a professor at a women's college for 38 years, and he would keep in touch with students, his students' daughters and his students' granddaughters over the course of my entire lifetime. My mother did public relations for PBS, and she would connect with reporters, influencers, but they didn't have email. So it was the telephone, the manual typewriter, and just to give you an example, every morning in the 70s at the breakfast table, they would have the 5 local newspapers splayed out. They'd be sitting there with a razor blade or a scissors, clipping and cutting articles that made them think of people in their community, in their network.
What?
Family, relatives. Clip and cut articles, go to their respective manual typewriters. We had 2 in the house. And they would put the clips, the articles in envelopes and send them out into the mail every single day.
Oh my
and I
God.
have to tell you, Camille, I thought everybody's parents did this. So it was very much embedded in me. But I will add one other thing that they both implored in me, this notion that every single person, no matter the role they have professionally, no matter where they're from, no matter their religion, their race, their heritage, they are deserving of our curiosity, our care, our compassion, and our kindness. So with that kind of all my life, I've just been fascinated by people and learning about them rather than being like, oh, they may not be able to help me because they work in trucking or they work in manufacturing or they're from, a country that I don't speak the language. If anything, it makes me more interested, not interested.
Yes.
So my answer to you is most definitely their imprint. And, they've been both gone for many, many years, but I still feel that presence in me every single day.
I feel like also because you've been doing it for so long, it's sort of a muscle
Yes.
already. And but I hope we can all try to be connectors in our work. And so I would say that kind of is a lot of the work that you do or some of the work that you do. But the meat of our conversation is really learning about Susan McPherson, who she is off the clock. And we want to start with a lightning round of seemingly random questions. So are you ready to play?
I'm ready. I hope I can answer them all.
Morning beverage, coffee, tea, or smoothie?
Coffee.
Coffee. What kind of coffee do you drink?
I drink Sumatra. I use an old-fashioned brew, like the old Mr. Coffee machine, and I put 1 or 2% milk in it. No sugar.
1 or 2% milk. Yeah, I can't live without coffee.
No.
Okay, sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Sunset.
I used to be. In my 20s and 30s, I was sunrise. Now, I miss the sunrise, but sunset now. And awesome. I have I'm very, 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 very grateful and privileged to have a view from my roof deck in Brooklyn Heights so I can watch the sunset over New Jersey.
I was going to say, where do you usually see like a beautiful sunset? I would say it's in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable. And sadly, they say when there's lots of pollution, you have more beautiful sunsets. But I have to say, like around the world, 2 places that just blew my mind in terms of the sunset. One was the Finnish Arctic because I was there in January, so the light was only, 3 hours a day.
Wow.
So when the sunrise and the sunset was so condensed, and then crazily Antarctica. It was like eerily different than you almost felt like you were on another planet when you saw the sun hit the water. So those would be my two favorite.
Yeah, those are bucket list trips.
Yeah.
Okay, flying, aisle or window seat?
Always aisle.
Always aisle.
I have ants in my pants and I have to get up all the time. So I am like, when I do end up in a window, people hate me. There's no Susan the Connector when I'm in a window seat.
You get the stare down.
Oh.
Okay, last question in our lightning round. Texting, emoji or no emoji?
Emoji, of course.
Emoji. What is your most abused emoji?
Oh, probably hearts. Just lots of hearts. But I like to use all the colors. I get to be like rainbowy, never just one. But I do have a fascination with the turquoise blue heart. Because turquoise, I'm wearing pink today, but turquoise is my color. As you can see that nice photograph behind me of Sydney, Australia. But I absolutely, the turquoise heart.
That's also one of my favorites. And I remember when you responded to my email that you used that emoji. So I know it's your favorite. But that's the end of our lightning round. And hope that got us warmed up. We have more to go through.
Okay.
And I'm pretty excited. So, okay, moving on. If you were on a talent show, what would you do?
Connect people.
Okay.
That's all I gotta do.
Can we try to imagine how that would look in, like, let's say a talent show? You pick someone from the crowd.
If I was younger, I would do gymnastics because I was a gymnast.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was a gymnast from age 5 or 6 to age 18. Nothing compared to what they do today. But in this body, in this age, I would probably start reaching out to the audience and figuring out ways to make connections in the audience. And by the time the end of the talent show, there would be impact happening and getting done. That's what I would do if I was on granted, I don't think whatever the show is, they're going to be calling me anytime soon, but.
No, but I feel like that's a kind of show that I would want to buy tickets to if I make, incredible connections.
Maybe human media needs to start a talent show.
You know what? With this podcast, I think who knows what will happen next. But okay, so if you opened a restaurant, Susan, what would you name it?
Oh boy. You know what? I think I would name it after Phoebe, my beloved dog who died all too early.
I remember Phoebe.
Yes. I think you met Phoebe when you came to my apartment years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But she was only 7 and sadly got a bad bout of cancer and was gone within 10 days. But I think in memory of her. And it's a beautiful name. No insult to the current dog named Rosalie, but I think it would just be a wonderful gift to the world to memorialize Phoebe.
What could be the signature dish in that restaurant?
Broccoli. Everyone who knows me knows that everything I eat, like every day.
No way.
Phoebe loved steamed broccoli. In fact, anytime I was cooking broccoli, if I didn't give her a portion of it. In fact, when my ex-boyfriend met my ex-husband, the ex-boyfriend asked my ex-husband if indeed I ate broccoli every day years ago. And they had a whole discussion about the fact that I have an obsession with broccoli.
Oh, wow.
But I think it keeps me healthy.
Yeah.
But yes, in honor of Phoebe, in honor of my love, we do good things with it, though. I wouldn't just put a bunch of steamed broccoli on the plate. Yeah. Because the place would probably go out of business.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if a movie was made about your career, who would you want to play your character?
It's funny because over the years, people have told me I resemble Holly Hunter or Julia Roberts. I can't say I do, but people over the years, and my late father used to actually, very true to character, would read, even though he was a professor and he never read People magazine, he would buy People magazine just so he could see pictures of Julia Roberts, cut them out and send them, because I lived in Seattle for many years and he was in Connecticut. So I'd get these mailings of Julia Roberts pictures. They'd be like, Dad, but you know how fathers are.
Yeah.
So I would say either one of them. And Holly Hunter starred in broadcast news. And I, in the 80s, I went to graduate school for broadcast journalism. And that was when that movie came out. So a lot of people said I was like Holly Hunter in broadcast journalism, in broadcast news, excuse me.
Okay, so Julia Roberts and Holly Hunter.
Either one of those.
Either one of them will work.
Yes.
Susan will say yes. If any agent is listening. Okay, so if you were stranded on an island and could bring only one person with you, who would it be and why?
I would have to say my best friend since 1971. Her name is Dr. Michelle Singer. She's a veterinarian, so it would come in handy if you were stuck on an island to have somebody that kind of knows medicine. I mean, in fact, when I have like MRIs, sometimes I'll send them to her to help me interpret them, even though she's an animal doctor, not a human doctor. But also, when I was in first grade, I fell off the jungle gym and she carried me to the nurse's office. Oh. This was 1971, and we are still best friends.
Aw.
So it would have to be her.
Best friends from like elementary or high school? like they really,
they're like family. They're better than family.
Exactly. They like know a lot of things about you that, your parents might not know about you. Like they have been with you through the roller coaster of life, I would say. Like that's how I see my best friends too. So that's a great answer. So sadly, actually, we're down to our last question.
No.
Susan?
Oh, okay.
I know. But what is your go-to after-hours media? What have you been watching or reading or listening to lately?
This sounds so overly boring and non-exciting, but I grew up with the New York Times, and I'm of that generation. Saturday and Sundays, I still get the actual paper.
Yes.
And I love to read like every section front to back. In the spring, I'll take it upstairs and sit outside on my roof deck and read the entire thing.
That reminded me of a friend of mine who got featured, I think a couple weeks ago on the New York Times. Like their love story got featured. I'll send you that article.
Okay, please do.
It's a very New York like love story. And I think when I saw comments on her post about it, people were so like excited to read something like that. Especially these days, like it was so uplifting and positive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I feel right now supporting the news media is one of the most important things we can be doing. And just to give you an idea of why the New York Times, again, back to my parents, when I was a child, if we went on vacation, my dad would make sure, because the New York Times came via the mail. So it came a couple of days since I grew up in Albany, near Albany, New York. So in other words, it wasn't like that day you got the New York Times. You would get it a couple of days later. But he would have the post office hold all the papers, and then he would proceed to read them when he returned. So like a week and a half of the New York Times.
Oh my God.
And he was a professor. So,
yes.
There's a reason. But the thing is so it was such a part, like the imprint, is just, no pun intended with the ink, but it just, again, such a part of my childhood.
Susan, before we wrap things up, I'm curious to know if there's something big that's coming up for you, anything you want to promote, anything that you're working on.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm getting very excited for South by Southwest.
Yes.
I am moderating a panel called The Anecdote to a Divided America with Tulane Montgomery, who's the CEO of New Profit, who you know well, Camille.
Of course.
Shannon Watts, the founder of Mom's Demand, and Paola Ramos, an award-winning and best-selling author and journalist on MSNBC. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited for you. I've seen the topic, and I'm excited for that panel. And by the time this episode airs, hopefully we can link it to our episode
there'll be
description.
an audio recording. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Thank you, Susan, for kicking back with me, saying yes to me in world record time. Thank you for being on Impact After Hours.
Thank you, Camille. It was a joy.